Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Teresa. This is Lost My Thread. Today I'm going to talk to you about what I made in the month of June. June was a good month for me. I feel like I got a fair bit of sewing done, but also just kind of more importantly, the things that I made in June, I really love. So quite often I will try not to wear the things that I make too much until I've done my photos and my videos, just because I want them to be nice and crisp for me to show you guys. But these ones, they couldn't wait. I was like pretty much immediately putting all of them on because I was just so excited to wear them, and I am really excited to share them with you. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is actually the second part of a cord set. So these shorts I talked about in my April makes video, so I'll put a link to that video up here and down in the description box if you haven't seen it, if you want to get a little bit more detail about these shorts. But they are the Pomona shorts by Anna Allen. They've got a patch pocket on the back, not on, or on the front rather, not on the back. And you can do either, but that made sense to me for the shorts. There's no side seam. I really do like the shape of these. The color is a really wonderful cotton linen fabric from Sew Me Sunshine. The color is like the biggest thing for me. I love this color so much. It's like a really nice, kind of like a juicy peach, pink mauvey color. It's gorgeous. If I feel like I'm not getting a good version of the color on screen, I will pop up an image because it really is the highlight of this fabric for me. Now, when I made the shorts, my intention was to just make the shorts, but I had quite a bit of fabric left over. And I thought, do you know what? I bet I could make a little two-piece set. And I'd had the idea of using those shorts to pair together with the Helen's Closet Gilbert top. And I thought, let's see if I can squeeze it out of the scraps. And I did. I will say this is slightly adapted, so this is the longer version of the Helen's Closet Gilbert top. I'd made it before and it was kind of an odd length, and I think I prefer what is the intended long length for me. The sleeves I did shorten significantly. I will say it's honestly more just about what fabric I had because I was working with very small scraps. But the sleeve in the end, from like the underarm up to the edge of the sleeve there, is probably like 1.5 inches. It's very short compared to what it normally would be, but I think it's really cute. And I will say, like, in general, I think I prefer a shorter sleeve than what the pattern designs for. Now, because I was piecing, there are places where you can see, so I tried to make it less obvious on the main body, but I did piece together the inside of the facing. Now, if I had thought about it, I would have pieced it together where it was less visible, more kind of lower down, but I felt like, facing isn't particularly visible, but on this kind of shirt, and it turns out it is, but I don't care. I kind of think it adds a little bit of character anyway, but there are a few places where it's all pieced together, and I think it worked well. This has a nice back yoke. I will say this one is one that comes together really nicely. You do the burrito method to bring together the front and the back of the bodice, so it's finished really neatly. This I did do a 2-inch full bust adjustment. It's my second version, and I stuck with the same adjustments that I did from the first. That works really well for me. Now, this is meant to be an oversized top, so I did also size down one size, and I feel like that was a good balance of the being loose but not too oversized for me. And there is a patch pocket on here. I feel like the main thing, like I said, is I really loved the idea of having a matching cord set with the shorts. My main concern is that it might end up looking too much like pajamas, particularly I think with like a solid fabric. I felt like it's just gonna look like a pajama, and I didn't want to wear that necessarily out and about. So I took some pictures of me wearing it in different ways. So if it is just untucked and over the shorts, it really does feel to me like pajamas, which is fine, but it's not the look that I'm necessarily going for. This type of short sleeve shirt though, you can also wear unbuttoned with a top underneath. So I showed what that looks like, and I think it looks really cute, especially with that matching set. I feel like that's a really nice look. But my favorite by far, which is what I was kind of envisioning why I wanted to make these two as matching separates, is to tuck the top into the shorts and then pull it out a little bit for a bit of a kind of blousing effect. And it looks like a jumpsuit, but it's not a jumpsuit. So faux jumpsuit look, but then also I've got these mix and match separates that I can wear with other things. Now, like I said, I made these shorts back in April, and I've actually been pairing them with quite a lot of other things in my Me Made wardrobe. I had the intention of pairing this top with lots of other things in my Me Made wardrobe as well. And I'm not saying that I won't, but because I love these together so much as a set, I just haven't. And I don't know if I will. I'm sure at some point I will, but I feel like more often than not, I'm gonna wanna wear them together because I think it's just such a super cute look and just perfect for the summer. Being the cotton linen fabric as well, it's not too lightweight. So yes, it's short sleeve and yes, it's shorts. You're not gonna wear it on a cold day, but I feel like it's just kind of that good medium temperature, but also really breathable natural fiber. So if it gets a bit hot, you're still gonna stay comfortable. Now I will say my idea of making a faux jumpsuit, I've heard people talk about it and it's really nice and easy to be able to go to the bathroom with ease and you don't have to take your whole outfit off to go. I feel like for me, I'm very used to jumpsuits. I don't find them too faffy. I just pull them off. I don't really care that I'm in my underwear. I then will just hold on to the top of the jumpsuit as I pull the trousers down, and it feels very similar to just going to the bathroom with trousers that you don't want to just drop on the floor. When I'm doing the faux jumpsuit, and I want to tuck this top in and then pull it out just so, all the way around so it's nice and level. To me, that's honestly more of a faff than it would be to just take a jumpsuit on and off when I go to the bathroom. So I'm not convinced that I'm a fan of the faux jumpsuits, and I kind of am debating whether or not I just would have preferred this as a jumpsuit. I mean, it is what it is, and honestly, I probably do like having these shorts for a bit more versatility, but it's just a super cute look. I really do love the combo, and it was very much proof of concept for me because I had the idea of making a matching cord set with a different fabric using those same two patterns. So when I saw that it worked for that, I was like really pumped and really excited to go ahead and make version 2 of the cord set, which I'm wearing now. I'm actually just wearing the top version because I want to be able to show you some of it on camera. The top, oops, I'm getting my hangers all tangled. The top is the same Gilbert top by Helen's Closet. Didn't make any adjustments other than the sleeve is probably a little bit, actually feeling it. I think it's the same length. I think I went with that same length. So 1.5 inches from the underarm seam to the bottom of that hem there. And I think it is super cute. I think it works really well with this fabric. It has the patch pocket, which I think kind of disappears on this fabric if I'm honest, but I don't really mind. This fabric is really wonderful fabric to work with. It is really wonderful fabric to wear. This is the trouser, so this is the Pomona pants. So rather than the shorts, I made the full length version. I made the wide leg, so there's a wide leg or a tapered leg of this. And I did do the patch pockets on the back for this. So in the original design, she tends to put the patch pockets on the back for the pants and on the short front for the shorts. And I feel like that makes sense stylistically to me. This fabric is just absolutely stunning though. I got it from the Fabric Godmother. It's a viscose linen blend fabric. And because it doesn't have the side seam here, I feel like it just doesn't interrupt that gorgeous pattern. It has a really wonderful weight and drape to it. I am a big fan of viscose linen. You may know that if you've seen my channel before. What I love about viscose linen, I really do like a nice drapey fabric. But I also like fabric with a bit of weight and a bit of body, and most straight up viscoses are really very lightweight, which is lovely, but I just like the kind of weight of a fabric on me. I feel like it's really comfortable and kind of comforting. And I mean, obviously the print is the main thing of what this fabric is about. It is just a knockout. It's this really gorgeous floral fabric. Now, I think this is actually a black base. I had a whole thing when I was sewing this up where I couldn't decide if it was navy or if it was a black, because it's kind of an in-between, if I'm honest. It's like probably just not a very deep black is what I would say. But sometimes you can get navies that look a bit like that. And it's very clear that I really couldn't decide what I was going to do, because at some point I realized that my serger fabric on the inside, I had used a black fabric, but with my stitching, I'd used a blue because I picked them out separately and I didn't know what I wanted to do. Now, I don't think it really makes a difference either way. I just thought it was kind of funny that I was really back and forth about whether it was black and blue. Held it up against some black things and some navy blue things, and that still didn't help me because I think it's kind of like in that intermediate area. But the florals, the colors of the floral are just so gorgeous. There's a bit of a slightly slubby texture to this, being that linen blend. And I will say this kind of fabric is just so cooling. It feels really cool against your body when you're wearing it, especially like a wide leg trouser when you're walking around. It feels really cool. And this is one that definitely I would wear on a hot day. and I feel like I would still be really comfortable. But being the long trouser, obviously that just makes it a bit more versatile to wear when it's not quite so hot. Now, this is another one that I wanted to make to wear as a set. That was the intention, and I feel like it turned out very similar to the previous. So I will show pictures of me wearing it untucked, and I think untucked, again, I'm getting like super pajama vibes. Now, I will say they are really nice, fancy pajama vibes, and I absolutely will sometimes wear these as pajamas. As a matter of fact, one of the first times that I wore them, I put them on fairly late in the day to go out, I think, you know, to go food shopping or something like that. And when I got home, I was like, why am I gonna take these off? Like, I'm just gonna take my bra off and I'm in my pajamas now. And I just lounged around in them and went to bed in them and felt super comfortable. So I do think these work as well for pajamas, but that's not the original intention. But what I really do like as far as wearing them out and about is having them tucked in that similar way for that faux jumpsuit look. So I do like a jumpsuit. I like the style of a jumpsuit. I don't love the faff of the tucking this in and pulling it out. And I really did consider, like, maybe I just might end up sewing these two together and basically creating a jumpsuit. I 100% am gonna make a real jumpsuit out of these two patterns together, because clearly I like the style, so why am I gonna not go ahead and make it properly? But the two together, they are just so beautiful. I really do love them. I love the colors of the fabric. I love the drape of the fabric. I feel like it pairs so well with with both of these two patterns, and they work great as a combo. I've seen a lot of people making these as a combo, and I totally get it. The buttons I used for this one are super duper cute. Oh, I should say, I'm gonna backtrack. My pink Gilbert top, I use Pigeon Wishes buttons, and I think they're a really lovely button, really beautiful, like multi-shades of pink and red. These ones are just a little extra special. So these are from Ethel and Joan, and they're a really beautiful floral button. They're all different colors. They're all really sweet. I would say very kind of candy looking buttons. They're very appealing, and I thought the floral would pair well with the fabric, and I think it does. And I think it is just overall a really beautiful set, and I will very much be wearing this, as I already have been, just going around town, living my life, but very much appropriate for work, day to day, looking a little bit more dressy where I need to as well. The next couple of things to tell you about are refashions. They were definitely not like full start to finish projects, and I am honestly pretty surprised that I still had the energy and interest to do refashions in June, because I was kind of all in on refashions in May, and I know last year when I did that I was feeling very burnt out with refashioning and felt really absolutely ready to do lots of new projects. But I feel like I kind of got my creative gears going, and I was feeling kind of excited to just bring in some of these things in my wardrobe that needed a little bit of work that I didn't fully finish in May. The first one is one that I did tell you guys about last month. So it is a dress that came from Warehouse that was just way too tight across the bust and the waist area. There was no way to add fabric there. I couldn't even zip it closed. It was so tight, but also it was just a bit too low. My bust had gotten a bit bigger. Again, my waist had gotten a bit bigger. So just in general, it was very ill-fitting, but also just not a style of bodice that I would wear these days anyway. And so I decided to just cut the bodice off and to put a new bodice on it. So I used the Holyoke dress by Cashmerette, and I used some of the original trim from the original dress, so around the flounce around the neckline and the fabric covered buttons, just to try and tie it all together. And I just did not love how that turned out, but I didn't want to let it go, because my original vision had actually been to turn it into a skirt. It was just I'd had that suggestion on Instagram to have like a contrasting bodice, which sounded cute and in theory was, but just wasn't for me. And I thought, you know what? If this is a skirt, I feel like it could be a lot more versatile as well, and I could pair it together with a lot more things in my wardrobe, which appealed to me, because I really love the fabric so much. It's a really gorgeous paisley cotton lawn fabric with a handkerchief hem, which is just so beautiful. I felt like I needed to save all of that and just try to mess with it as little as possible. Now, when I made my refashion of that dress, I actually had to remove a bit of fabric at the top of the skirt section, because the original dress was an empire waist. It was supposed to finish just under the bust, and my refashion finished more at my natural waist. So I had a wedge of that skirt section that I had removed. And when I removed the new bodice from the skirt and I tried it on, it was a pretty good length for me, but I did need to then add an elastic channel on the inside. And so that section that I removed was a bit too narrow to fit the full skirt, so I had to piece it together, a few pieces along. It worked perfectly. You would never know that it was pieced on the inside because it's elastic and it's all just gathered there anyway. And it came together really well. It was a super quick refashion by the time I took that bodice off. That was probably the most time consuming. And there was also an invisible zipper that I removed, which again was fairly time consuming. But actually putting that elastic waist channel on was super fast to make, and it made it just immediately a very wearable and very beautiful skirt, and I could not wait to wear it. I have been wearing it because I love it. So this is the new skirt. So it looks very much like the dress, but obviously I've got the elastic waist at the top. What I do love about this, honestly, is just how wearable it is. So it's really lightweight and drapey, and it just floats around me in a really wonderful way. I got some video footage to show you guys because I feel like it was a breezy day when I was trying to take some photos, which was a challenge when you have a lightweight fabric. But I feel like this one, it kind of floats and wafts around, but it doesn't blow up. I think it's because it's quite a long skirt. It doesn't like billow up too much to exposing anything that you don't want to expose. It just floats, and it feels really wonderful and feminine and delicate when I'm sort of traipsing around in this skirt. So I was pairing it for my photos with a tank top version I'd made of the Concord tee by Cashmerette. I'd mashed that up with a super basic tee by Half Moon Atelier. And I basically just took the straps and the front neckline from the super basic tank, and then the outer arm side and the sort of shape of the rest of the body from the Concord tee by Cashmerette. And it worked really well. It's a bit of a cropped top, and I feel like that works really well with the length of the height of the skirt, which I want to finish at my natural waist. The fabrics work really well together. The colors are really great. So it's a really beautiful blush pink viscose linen fabric that I got from, viscose jersey fabric that I got from Minerva. That was actually made from scraps of the Adrian blouse by Friday Pattern Company that I've made before. And actually I know that they also then pair really well together. I feel like this skirt as it is, it will go with most of the solid tees that I have. So like the solid jersey tops and tees. It goes really well, and because I like the skirt so much, I like the idea of being able to wear it with all different things. It's been really fun and exciting to see what I can mix and match with it, and there's quite a lot of color in this skirt, so I feel like there really is a lot that I can kind of take out and wear with it, and I am so happy that I persisted with the refashion. And at this point, I think I love the skirt even more than I loved the dress, which is pretty good going because I really did love that dress, guys. And now I can wear it again, which is amazing. And the other refashion I would say is more of just an alteration rather than a full refashion, but a very successful one. This is the myosotis dress by Deer & Doe. This I made as a collaboration with Renata, the Twilight Stitcher, a while back, and I really did like the version that I made. The fabric is just so stunning. I love it. It came from Merchant & Mills. It's in block print, hand block printed cotton fabric that came from India. It's a super lightweight fabric. It has so much just sort of bounce to it, and it's really like when a breeze comes, it floats up in quite a glorious way. I love the style of this dress, and I was wearing it in May and reflecting on my Me Made wardrobe, and I became aware that I just really don't wear this dress as much as in my mind I thought that I would, because I love the shape, I love the fit of it, I love the sleeve there, so you have like a gathered section on the sleeve. There's some gathers in the skirt as well. I love the buttons that I used, which are a really beautiful, very similar sort of a tomatoey red shade that pulls that from the dress. The dress is really nicely fitted just in general across the bodice, has some nice roomy pockets. It had so much going for it, and I felt like it was a great dress and I should wear it. But when I put it on in May, I realized the reason I wasn't wearing it is because I feel like the proportions were just a bit off for me. So there are different versions of this dress. There's a shorter version and a longer version. And I think I somehow hadn't realized the difference between the two. I think a lot of people actually seem to extend the shorter version because most people's short version was not as short as mine. But the original pattern photos, they clearly are, it is meant to be a short dress. But I just don't feel like it makes sense to me with the rest of the design of the dress to be that short. And also it just, in all fairness, just I didn't feel like it was appropriate to wear for work. I felt like it was just a bit too short to wear for a lot of occasions. And that's why I wasn't wearing it. And I dug through my fabric scraps, and old Teresa, past Teresa, when she made it, held onto her fabric scraps, and I was so happy to see that. So I was able to add another tier onto the bottom of it. I added a fair length at the bottom because I felt like it needed to be a little bit longer. I decided to go just below the knee, so more of like a calf length, and I feel like that suits the style of it really well. So I'll show you, I just did another gathered section. I think it ended up about 1.5 the width of the lower tier that I had there. And it is fairly long. I'm gonna measure because I feel like I wanna be accurate because it's that little bit longer. That's a good 6 inches longer than the original design. And I just feel like that in general suits the style of the dress, as well as I feel like it's a really nice length for me. And I have loved this dress since I made that little change, and I'm so glad that I went in and did that. You know, it's these little changes sometimes that can make such a difference, and I feel like this is now going to be an absolute go-to for me in my summer wardrobe, but definitely a good one to pair up with tights and boots when it's a little bit chillier as well. I will say it's been interesting for me since Me Made May, my attitude towards my clothes when I get dressed in the morning. I feel like previously I would, you know, when I make a project, I would put it on, I would assess it, I would make adjustments I felt like it needed it at the time. And then once it was done, it was done. And then when Me Made May rolled around for the last couple of years, I've been looking at those things and making some small adjustments if they're not exactly how I would like them to be. And this dress, I hadn't pulled out at the beginning of May as something that needed reworking. But when I wore it, I realized that it did. And I feel like now every time I'm putting on clothes that I've made, or even clothes that I haven't, but to be honest, pretty much I only wear clothes that I've made these days, I'm putting them on and I'm thinking, is there anything that maybe I could do to make this even better? And that is not me typically. I'm not a perfectionist, and I'm not someone who wants to necessarily spend my time going back over old projects. And I feel like it's just funny. It's like the difference between April Teresa and June Teresa seems very stark, because I can guarantee you if I put this dress on in April, I would have been like, yeah, this is nice. It's just a little short. And that would have been the end of it. But, you know, May Teresa, June Teresa is like, this is a little short. What can I do to make this a bit more wearable and actually get it back into my wardrobe? And it's just funny that, you know, we can have these little changes. I'm not saying that that's me all the time. And if I'm honest, I kind of miss April Teresa, because June Teresa is just driving me a bit crazy, that it's like, listen, woman, like, it's fine. You don't need to be doing all the things and giving yourself all these extra jobs. But I think in the case of this dress, honestly, I feel like it's taken it from a dress that was going to hang in my wardrobe to a dress that I'm going to want to put on pretty much as soon as it's out of the wash. And I've been getting lots of compliments on this dress, including at work, people who don't know I've made my clothes, and it's been just such a nice one to wear, and it makes me really happy that I went the extra mile to make it perfect. The other big project for me this month was that I made some curtains for my living room. And now this is something that has been really on my mind probably for the best part of 20 years since I've lived in this apartment. We don't own the apartment that I live in. It's owned by my husband's uncle, and they have said that we can change whatever we want to change. And we had these old curtains that we both hated for many, many years. My mother and father-in-law gave me some old curtains of theirs, and I decided to try and dye them to make them more like a color that I would typically choose. And the dye was just really uneven and really blotchy. It did not work, and I was never really happy with how that dye job went. But I didn't really want to pay for new curtains because they were basically fine. And it's just one of those things that's just been kind of bugging me, and it's just been like in the corner of my mind, and I decided to just go for it and just make the curtains already. I have the skills. I mean, I did actually originally look at buying curtains because I don't have to make everything, and I don't necessarily have any desire to make curtains. But when I was looking at the price of curtains, I was like, okay, this is actually one of those things where you can save money by sewing as opposed to buying a ready-made thing, especially trying to get things just the right length that we wanted it. So I just decided, no, I'm going to pick out something that I really love and my husband really loves, and I'm just going to go for it. And so I made us some gorgeous linen curtains. So this fabric came from Fabrics Galore. no, Ray Stitch Fabrics. They have a lot of their own linen fabrics of really wonderful colors, and it's a really beautiful quality. It is a lighter weight linen fabric, and it is a little bit see-through, so it's a bit sheer. So the intention anyway, whatever curtains we were going to make, I wanted to do a blackout lining on there to be able to bring the light out if we're going to be in there watching a movie in the evening, that kind of thing. And so I didn't really care how lightweight the fabric was because I knew it was going to be absolutely fine once it was lined, and it definitely is. The color we went for is a really beautiful, like a peachy pink color, not hugely dissimilar from what I've got behind me. Clearly I like this kind of shade. I think it's a little bit softer, so this is probably a little bit punchier. It's a little bit softer, maybe a little bit pinkier as well. We have a red wall in that room, like a red feature wall, and I feel like it pairs together well with the red. I feel like it actually ties in with a lot of the furniture and cushion covers and things we have in the room, and it's just very much more like my kind of vibe. Linen curtains are just glorious and beautiful. The lining, the blackout lining, that came from Fabrics Galore, so that's why it was in my mind. They do a lot of curtain fabric and sort of notions as well, which is useful to know. So they do a variety of different blackout curtain linings. I went for the one that's like a creamy color because I felt like it would go better with the shade of the fabric that we had for the main body of it. It was a big project. I feel like sewing straight lines in theory is pretty straightforward, but when you've never made curtains before, it's more just about getting your head around how much fabric you need to buy, which way around this fabric is going to be able to go if you're going to need to piece it together, and where those seams might want to be, both for the fabric and the blackout lining, which is a different width than the fabric width. It was a lot for me to work out. Now, I will say there was a tutorial that I followed on YouTube. It is an old YouTube tutorial, but it's great, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I will put a link down below to the tutorial that I followed about how to measure and make your own curtains, and I honestly followed it pretty much to the T. And I feel like it came together really nicely, really neatly. I'm really happy with how they look. They are really effective at blackout as well when they come together, and it's just a nice thing that I can see every day. And it wasn't my favorite thing to make, but it's one of my favorite things to have made, if that makes sense. You know, that the finished outcome was totally worth it, and it is really nice to be able to have a little bit more of me in a rented space with a lot of like hand-me-down furniture and things, so it makes me happy to have those there. I do also have a couple of works in progress, but I'm not going to really show you. I'm making a couple of tops for my mom. So we're going home to the States soon, later this month, and it's my mom's birthday at the beginning, well, middle of the month. And so I've decided I'm going to make her some things and bring them when we're there because it's a little bit nicer and I don't have to pay for shipping, and I can actually see them on her if I give them to her. And I'm making the Rhapsody blouse by Love Notions. Now, I have made this blouse for myself before, and I really love it. I feel like it's a really great, comfortable shape. I feel like it works well on most bodies when I've seen versions of it on Instagram. I'm making some sleeveless versions for her. She lives in Chicago. It is hot, hot, hot in the summer, and I know she likes to wear a sleeveless top. I'm making it in some really lovely, lightweight, summery fabrics I think will be really comfortable. One with more of a light background color, one with more of a dark background color. I'm not going to say any more in case she or my dad watch this video, but I will show you guys what they look like after I've given them to her. And I think that will just be a really nice little project to work on while I'm getting ready for my trip back home. So all in all, I am calling it a win. I think it was a successful month, and I am really happy with what I made. I would love to hear your thoughts on what I made this month, if there was anything that particularly stood out to you as something that you'd like to try, or anything that you thought particularly worked well. Please do give me a like if you enjoyed today's video. Please also make sure you're subscribed if you want to see upcoming videos, and I will be back with another one soon. Bye!